Hey, everybody. I'm so excited for this episode of the Spiral Up podcast where you're going to learn from Tom Matt, who has reprogrammed his brain to be able to see the future, to see blocks, to see subconscious things that are getting in our way in order for us to manifest our best life. You are not going to want to miss this episode, so stay tuned for everything that we have to talk about here in the Spiral Up podcast.
Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Wieme, and we are in for a treat today. So if you've been a longtime listener of the show, you know that I really reserve these interviews for people who I've personally worked with, like my clients, as well as the experts that I have inside of my Spiral Up program, and I love to showcase their expertise. But every once in a while, my assistant Jamie sends me somebody that is so aligned with what I do that she's like, you need to meet this person. And when Tom and I met, you guys, it was just like, how have we not met before? Wouldn't you say, Tom? Like, we have so much in common. Our energy is on point. And what's so cool is that Tom and I essentially do similar things, right? Like when I say to people like what I do, I'm able to help them overcome their big butts, right? The butts that are getting in our way from being able to accomplish all the things that we want to be able to manifest. And I think that what Tom does is so unbelievable. And it's such a cool story on how he kind of stepped into and accepted this gifting that I can't wait for you guys to hear this story. But Tom, I want to just say welcome, first of all, to the show. It's going to be so much fun to have everybody get a chance to get to know you better and to be able to get to know about your gifting a little bit more. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very excited to talk about it. Yeah, we had a great conversation and I feel like we do align on so many things. So yeah, I'm excited. I always love talking about upside vision and this ability that evolved, came out of me about a dozen years ago. And since then, what I've been able to do with it and the science behind it. So
yes, it's so cool. And you know, Tom, we talked about how I have the science background, right? So as an anesthesia provider, as a former researcher and professor, like I nerd out on brain science, and the fact that you have such cool science behind what it is that you do too is so fascinating. But first, I'm just going to get started by just saying a little bit about you, your gifting and stuff. And in a comparison form, in the sense, because one of the things that I feel I have been gifted in my way as well is I can see potential in things, right? And so it's a blessing and a curse. I can see potential in the house that my husband and I just bought from 1984. I can see literally exactly the way it could look, and it looks like that now after a renovation. I can see potential in people. I can see blocks and blind spots in people. But for me, it's more of an intuitive hit. It's more of like I can see it, you know, in my mind's eye in a visual way, but I know that it's in my mind's eye. And it's more of just, like I said, an intuitive hit where I'm seeing things in between the cracks when it comes to the conversations that I'm having. I'm like, I don't know if you recognize this, or this is what I see, or I can envision this, but it's definitely more of the intuitive hit that I get. What you do is so much just so different that I want to have people get a chance to get to know you and how it is that you see things and what you see.
Yeah, that's great. And your description of the way you see things is perfect. I understood everything you say. Yeah. And it's funny. This is not that, right? I have the ability. The reason I'm here is because I have the ability to what I call upside vision. And I've described it as the ability to see and interact with holographic images that are everywhere around me, that are around us. Now, I acquired this ability about 13 years ago as I was coming out of addiction and a mental health crisis. One day I was sitting on the couch and I was using at the time, this is actually the last time I've ever used. I'm clean and sober going on 13 years now. I was sitting on the couch, I was on drugs, I looked over and I was, I say hallucinating because hallucinating, you think something is real and it's not, but you still see it. It's really not that. I'm seeing these things. I know they're not real. And I also know it's outside of me and not my mind's eye.
Right.
In any case, I saw these things and intuitively, you talk about intuitively, I knew, I was like, okay, I don't have to be on drugs to do this. I can do it anytime. As I said, that was the last time I used. I wrote a book called Jesus Goes to Hollywood, A Memoir of Madness. And it's about the year before, really deep. I was really unwell. So many psychotic, really delusional things that I went through. And I think that's something cracked inside of me, right? Something was broken. And as it started to come back together, the fabric healed in a different way, right? And I acquired this ability. Now, as you can imagine, if you can see these things outside of you, I'm sure any of your listener, if this happened to you, you'd be like, okay, something happened from the drugs. You would want to get an MRI to make sure there was no damage, right? And I got 2 of them. I got 2 different MRIs to see if there was some, a growth, a stroke, a lesion or anything. Right. And there was no damage from drug use, right? And the clinicians are like, listen, we don't know why you're seeing this. We know there's nothing wrong with your brain. Right? Something must have rewired because of all the things you did. Now that seemed to make sense, and it's something, it's not nothing, right? Yeah. I mean, obviously something changed. Well, I was on a mission after that to find the science behind that, to reach out to academic researchers, neuroscientists, anybody with any interest on researching the brain and all the anomalous things it can do.
Yeah.
So I emailed academics for a dozen years. About 3 years ago, I finally got hooked up to we did some tests on the EEG machine, and we measured my brain waves as compared to your mind's eye, right? As opposed to upside vision. So, and it was brain states, all alpha, beta, gamma, theta, all the brain states were different from the one to the other. When memory recall, to seeing upside. And let me give you one example of what we did. And we did 200 of these randomized tests. Okay. I would see a picture of an Eiffel Tower. I would think about it in my mind's eye. And then the Eiffel Tower would appear in this holographic form in front of me. So they measured the brain states and all of that. Now, I knew it was going to be different, right? I knew my eyes dilate, my pupils dilate. I can't drive a car when I do this. And just so, let me get this out too, because it's important. So just so people they wonder what this looks like.
Yeah.
There was a show called The Queen's Gambit on Netflix about 5 years ago. Yep. When the protagonist lays on the bed, she's a chess master, and she would lay in bed and look at the pieces, and the pieces would appear on the ceiling with her, and she could move them. So she would figure out her moves in the chess game. Yeah. That's exactly what it is like for me. Exactly like that. I can move them if I want to, or I could just watch them. So that's what it looks like. If you haven't seen that, many people have seen Iron Man, Tony Stark, when he's in his office, he's submersed in this holographic field. Now, here's what's wild too. The images are that clear and in focus, but it doesn't mean they're true. It's like a dream, like waking up from it, or like I can access this place anytime, but it's like a dream. All dreams aren't true, but there's something there to be looked at and studied. So that's kind of what we're talking about on this conversation. That's what it looks like.
Yes. So like you gave me this example the last time we spoke about, if I dreamt that I met Brad Pitt, right? Yeah. And I woke up, and even if it felt real, I didn't really meet him. But what you're saying is that it's not real, but it's representing something. Absolutely. So my subconscious is working something out during that dream that it's representing something. And so the images that you see might not be as clear or plain in the meaning at the moment, but there's something deeper in that meaning that sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it reveals itself, months later. We're like, oh my gosh, like that's what that meant.
Yeah, you have an aha moment, right? So exactly. So what I do now, and just this year, so I've been doing this for 12 years, just playing with it, for lack of another way to say it. Yeah. This year I started focusing because I knew I could see other people's, let's call them Biofield for this conversation. Yes. I could see these biofields, but it's creepy. You can't just look at someone's biofield. You need to get permission, right? Because it's just, if you could do it, you would trust me. It'd be like listening to a conversation. You don't want to do it. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. I've learned with practice, and I've done over 200, or not over, just about 200 of these now, that if I tune in, you give me permission, and I can tune into yours, I can literally see what's radiating from your biofield. And that's what I look at. So it's almost like, this is really the best description. I'm looking at something radiating from you as if it was a dream. So, and it's just important too. It's not mind reading. It's not, you can't think of a frog and I can see it. It's not that. And it's not your deep, dark secrets you don't want anyone else to know. There's this middle ground. There's this safe space, this safe space that it's okay with, with permission to look at, almost like a conversational space that you can look at and learn something from it. And then this is what I say. I'm like IKEA furniture. I can give you the furniture and the tools, but after that, there's still work to be done with somebody like yourself. Okay, let's unpack what you saw with Tom, and maybe we can see what's going on, right?
Yes.
So
and I nerd out on that stuff. Like I love doing that. So yes.
So if I do a session with someone and it's about a business deal, but the wife keeps showing up in everything, and the man is like, why does my wife keep showing up in the business deal? This has nothing to do with her. It's like, well, obviously it does, probably in some way, but maybe talk to her about it. And weirdly enough, this is an example. The wife didn't think it was a good idea, so there was this element of, you know what I mean? This element of relationship knowledge that comes through consciously, unconsciously.
Right.
But and it's also what's not there at the circus. He was thinking about the deal. He wasn't thinking about any other things like that. That's just one example.
Well, and I think that, Tom, what you're describing to me is almost like our highest self is trying to guide us towards the answers. And I believe that all of us have this intuitive ability to tap into our greater consciousness for guidance at all the time, that God within us, that our higher self is always guiding us towards the best route and is trying to get us there. And sometimes we're more intuitive to listen. Sometimes we listen but don't trust ourselves. Sometimes all these things. And so it's almost like our highest self is saying, I've been trying to tell her this. She's not quite getting it. And in order to help her manifest this, I'm going to send you somebody like Tom that's going to help me get the dang message over to you so that you can start to listen to me, to yourself, so that we can get you back on track or on the right track or get there faster or whatever the case may be. That's how it almost.
That's what it feels like too. And you know what's such a great example too, because why do these things happen? We don't trust this. We're not taught to trust this growing up, right? It's like, oh, don't listen to that. It's not science. All these things. You know what? I think more people are waking up to it, and more people are seeing the positive results and outcomes, taking a look at it. Make no mistake, people have been doing psychoanalysis and looking at this for years, but there's another layer that I think it's, at least for me, physiologically related to, and the people, I think everyone is kind of evolving into this. Slowly, something has changed at an environmental level because of chemicals in our bodies, forever chemicals, polar shifts, climate change, you name it. The world we are living in is not, is changing. Let's just leave it at that. It's changing, and we need to survive. And we need to learn how to survive.
I think that we are waking up. I say remembering. That's what I like to tell people, is that I feel like we are at a place in society right now that we are starting to remember who we are. And everything that I kind of do in my business is centered around Romans 12:2, which is, do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that we are born into this world with an assignment that we've chosen, and that we are given a certain set of parents and circumstances that are going to program things into our minds and our subconscious before we're 7 years old. And it is our journey in this lifetime to essentially break through those patterns to remember who we've always been. And when I think about that, it's like we as a society, I think, are in this place where we're remembering, and we're remembering faster, and we're learning how to break through those patterns of this world. I describe it like Michelangelo carving the statue of David, and he's literally chipping away the stone to reveal the David that has always been there. That's how I feel this journey is. And I feel like the society is really starting to shift into this consciousness of remembering who we are, remembering the soul that we are, that we've been sent here to be. And I also think that because of science and technology, we are recognizing neuroplasticity. We're recognizing that the brain is not set in stone, that we get to reprogram our brains. And as we do that, I think that all of our innate abilities, like you said, you and I, when we checked last, that we all have this underlying ability. It's just some of us just it comes really quickly. Some of us it comes with a little bit more practice. Some of us just want to deny that we have it all together, but we all have it. And I think that this is where we're shifting right now to be able to be born in such a time as this, where we have access to not only people like you to walk alongside our journey and help us, but to show us possibly that we have it within ourselves to tap into this as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you know, about that. So I compare it to singing. Like I said, everybody can sing, but everybody can't be
Yeah.
Adele or Frank
Yeah.
Sinatra. I
Right.
wrote a PDF because inevitably when I do this, I get an email from somebody saying, I have this, right? So I wrote a PDF and it's free on my website. It's tommatt.com. It's called the 8 Stages of Upside Vision. And it's the stages I went through and what happened at each of those stages. So people might think they have it and they're like, okay, and it makes sense to them. The way I describe it, it makes complete sense to them. I'm not saying everybody has to go through these, but this is what happened to me. And it does in fact seem to resonate with people.
Okay.
You know, to piggyback on what you said, I think this is really, really interesting. The way the science is going and the internet and this whole AI thing, right? There is an intelligence that we are uploading to the computer, all this human intelligence, and it is being with these large language models, it's being reconfigured and pushed back to us. So it's our brains in there, you know, connected to all these other humans pushed back to us. I think that there's another opportunity for intelligence from this experience with Upside, the Akashic Record, the noosphere, Christ consciousness.
Yes.
We have only begun to, or we're remembering how to get to that.
Yes.
That's what this very much feels like. And I can say that too, because one of the things that came out of this is I developed a better understanding of mathematics, and I have this extraordinary visual spatial ability. So my brain literally rewired. You know, that's one of the things the clinician said, that rewired, right?
Yeah.
Now, I thought it was going to be because of drugs. But a lot of people that say they haven't done drugs, right? Everyone, to a man or woman, there's been some kind of trauma.
Yes.
Now that intrigues me, right? Trauma rewires the brain more than anything. It makes sense, right? But I thought it would be the other thing. So there's this other intelligence, and this intelligence is begging for us to find it, right? It's like I can help, we can help, you know, Gaia, whatever. There's so many things. There's so many different intelligences out there that come to us on the plasma field, whatever this is that we can access if we only open up and start receiving it and honoring it.
100%. And it sounds like, you know, when you talked about rewiring your brain, it sounded like almost like an instantaneous experience that you had. So I think that this is important to acknowledge, you guys, that you can rewire your brain can change. And the illusion of space and time is an illusion. Like, we can have a massive transformation in a blink of an eye, just like you did. But then you've also tuned into it and improved your abilities over time by getting into tune better with it.
Yeah, it's great because I still don't know what the right answer is. Is it a muscle or is it tuning the receiver better? It doesn't matter because whatever it is, it's getting better and stronger. And it feels, at first I would say it's a muscle because it's so easy, but the more I've done it, it's like, no, it's like turning your head, you tune in. Because let's be clear, the only thing I have to do to access this space, I don't have to do a mantra. And this is what a lot of people find kind of extraordinary. All I have to do is shift my attention and look up there, and there will be something. Or if I'm doing it with somebody else, I just have to, you know, we have to have a nice dark room and I can see it, whether you're right next to me doing an in-person session or 1,000 miles away. Now, the science behind it, listen, quantum entanglement, that's the best I can give you because I can't begin to explain it.
Yes, no, and I geek out on a lot of this stuff. Like, I love studying the quantum science behind the things that I don't understand. And that's exactly what you're talking about here. So Tom, I would love for our audience to kind of get a sense of the practical side of this, as far as like, okay, this sounds cool. This sounds like something I've never thought about before. And it might even kind of feel a little bit out there. Bring us back to like the practical side of this, whether it be, you know, giving me an example of a client or some clients that you've taken yourself or taken them through this process, or, if it would be helpful to demonstrate something. I just want you to kind of give our audience a sense of
good.
the meat behind exactly what it is that you do, because I want people to know that this is possible. And if they, reach out to you, what are they
No,
going
that's good. That's good. And there, let's go over a lot. So number one thing, I said the IKEA furniture, right? It's like that because there's work to be done afterwards.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, this is really important. And I'll talk about this in a minute. All because I see this 5-minute holographic video, it doesn't mean it's true. And let me give you an example like that. So I was doing a reading and the woman is there with her husband and the husband leaves and he seems to go kiss another woman, right? No, he didn't. He did kiss another woman.
Okay.
So I'm reading that. And by the end of the thing, she's like, oh my God, my husband's cheating on me. I'm like, time out. No. That is definitely, that's not definitely, that's not the case.
Right.
Let's unpack that.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've been thinking about this. Blah. And I'm like, there we go. It is part of what you've been obsessing for any number of reasons that you may think that's true. I am in no way going to say that's possible. I'm telling you exactly what I see. So that's where the work needs to be done, right? And again, this is not precognition either, right? This is what's there radiating, resonating underneath the surface that you might want to look at or you might have instincts about. But all because that does show up. It doesn't mean it's true. It means that something should be addressed. Maybe you should see a therapist and talk to your husband about it. 3 months later, we could do this again and you're in a different place. Now, people don't, this is important too. I call it one and done. A lot of people like to come back. So that's not necessarily true. It's true, they'll come back a couple of months later, but it's just to take a snapshot. Let me give you another example of what it can compare to, like a radiologist taking a snapshot of your body. It's like, oh, everything looks good. It feels good. Well, there might be something there, something in the shoulder, something in the back, something with the relationship with your husband, something with the business. There are so many things we can look at from a symbolic psychoanalyst, me doing this for the longest time. And that's just an example. Let me just stop there.
I love that so much, because it almost sounds like, again, you've mentioned the Akashic records already when we have been chatting here. And so it's almost like you're accessing their biofield, and with their permission, their Akashic records to help understand that. And my understanding of the Akashic records are essentially the book of life. It's the records, I guess, of our past, our intentions, our memories, our, the probable future, just because we have free will and all these things, but the intentions and the memories and the experiences that we've gone through. What is your perspective of the Akashic records?
So that's a great question. So like I said, I've just judged just about 200 of these. So I did a reading for a woman. I'll just talk generally, but let's say she just wanted to see what shows up, right? Yeah. Because this is kind of fun. Okay, yeah. Let's say that. It is. It's kind of fun. It's like I'm looking at your dreams while you're awake. So everything that showed up was in Spain, like 1450, 50, whatever. All these things were in Spain, right? Okay. And come to find out, her ancestors were from there, right? I don't know that going in.
Right. Yeah.
And it's funny too, because what she wanted to address was maybe a job change, but this kept coming up.
Okay.
So now we didn't get to what that was about by the end of it, but it certainly got her mind exploring, what, maybe she should look at that for one reason or another. Let me give you a real world application of how to use this.
Yeah.
Because again, there's no right answer and there's many ways.
Yeah.
So, and not how to use it. But the way I've used it. So because something shows up, right? Let's say I do a reading and it's about, you want to buy a new house. Let's say you're coming to me. We're thinking about moving to Hawaii. It's a big deal. We don't know if we should do it. All right, let's just look at us there. Now, probably things are going to come up about your concerns. There might be some things coming up about money, about location next to a volcano, any weird thing where you're concerned about. These things will probably come up. There may come up things with kids. We just don't know. And I can't begin to tell you what shows up. Not only that, sometimes people have a question and none of that shows up. That's extraordinary to me, right? They're thinking about, because it's on the front of their consciousness, something else shows up. But let's finish with the house analogy.
Yeah.
So let's say we see the house analogy, and let's say I see it next to a volcano. I will literally see something, and the volcano comes down and it washes the house away, right? So now, if you're coming to me, you're like, "Are you telling me my house is going to be?" I'm like, "No, of course not." Again. So you're like, well, that is like a flag or something to think about because it's on your mind. And maybe the fact of living next to a volcano is concerning to you, even though they're dormant. So that's one thing. Now, so what does that mean? If like 2 weeks later, you're driving around and you think about, should we move, right? And you have this great feeling, and then a synchronistic moment happens, right? Of like, okay, you see an ad for Hawaii on a billboard, or you hear a song with Hawaii in it. As long as it's a positive feelings, I'm like, that's the universe saying, make that choice, jump in, do it. You have this unlikely thing that's going to happen, but the way you feel paired with what I saw or what was radiating from you, that's how I make decisions on this. That's for me. People use it many different ways.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I would love to kind of dive into next when we're talking about your readings and what you see, you've mentioned to me before that you can help see people's blind spots, their roadblocks, the things that are subconsciously possibly holding them back that they can acknowledge. So tell me a little bit about some of that experience.
So, all right. So, this is the thing. So a woman thinks she wants to leave her job, right? I want to leave this job, but I don't know if I should. Again, I listen, I don't know if you should either, but let's see what's there. Okay. So there's something comes up and I see her at her desk computer, and there's a chain, like a chain. She's chained to her thing. So she's chained to the, her desk, right? And she's working. I'm like, okay. So, and I see it, and then a dog will come in, right? And the dog is there, and she feeds the dog, and the dog will go out. And then a cat will come in, right? All these things there. And it's just kind of, again, like a dream, kind of be a boring scene. So that's the first one. She's like, well, I'm chained to my desk. Well, I'm like that anyway. So we'll do another reading, right? And something else will show up. Again, the dog will come in. And so, or something like this. And they'll have this, wait a minute. I can't change I'm obsessed because the job is 2 hours longer in the car. Nobody's going to take care of my pets. I hadn't thought about that. These are the kind of things, and it seems so simple, but it's the kind of things you may not be thinking about that are practical or there. Yeah. That's just one example.
Okay, that's so cool. And then how do you essentially take this piece and help people? You mentioned manifestation in one of our conversations, and how do you take these pieces and help them to have this vision guide them to manifestation?
So you're talking about when people do it themselves, if they want to do it themselves, like with the
or what you do to help them, because what I love to do is to help people manifest consistent 5-figure months without overthinking and burnout. Like that's my jam, by helping them get through their butts. So there's going to be people who are listening to this that are like, okay, well, what can you do to help me to better manifest, or how? Yeah.
Beautiful. So this is let's talk about a house. I'm stuck on a house. I don't know why. I feel like it's important for everyone listening. I'm not kidding. The fact that I'm about this house. So let's say you're thinking about buying a house, right? And it may be what you might think is outside the family budget or whatever. You've got that lack mindset.
Yeah.
But we together, I was like, okay, I'll tell someone, even though I say it's not mind reading, think about this house and all the things, because the intent is important.
Yes.
The intention is important. Now, okay, so then the person will, if two things can happen. Number one, this house could start getting bigger and bigger and maybe turn into a mansion, which is like, oh, do we want a mansion? No. And it will change size, right? Or they get stuck and the house, for whatever reason, it's falling apart. Like they're trying to build this. And I mean this literally, where I've looked at a house and the boards are falling off and she's like, what is that? And I cannot begin to pretend. I'm like, okay, we can talk about this now and what I think is happening, and we'll have this conversation. However, this is the kind of thing that I would recommend somebody like you. I would say, hold on a minute. There might be something deeper that you should discuss. It's way deeper than looking at this snapshot.
Yeah.
So then I get things like, you know what? I've always had issues about this, or I'm going through a divorce and I know it's not going to work. Or there's so many ors, ands.
Yeah.
So I can help. If not, figure it out, point them in the direction where they can get help and look at it.
Yeah. So you're basically just giving people additional information in which to gather. And I think it's funny, actually, this may be completely unrelated, but I think it's interesting enough to talk about, is I just did an episode of the podcast a couple of weeks ago about this vision board that I drew. So every 6 months, I take people on these luxurious manifesting retreats all over the world. And we do the same activity where I have them draw out their vision of their life in color on the right side of the canvas, and on the left side is in pencil of the things that they no longer want, right? So anyway, I was looking at my vision board from 6 months ago, and I'm like, holy shit, like everything has come to fruition except for the North Carolina beach house that I want someday, right? And so it's just it's interesting, because, not saying that this is related, maybe it is, but what I'm saying though is that you bring people into this awareness of this piece that we get to then further explore, is what you're saying.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, the other side, so that's when I'm doing the readings. That's when it's coming from you,
Yes.
right? And I just read and I don't influence.
Yeah.
Now, if we want, at the end of a reading, we could take a reading where I do my projection, like my voice. Now I'm looking at whatever you want. I'll describe this wonderful neighborhood, beautiful house, beautiful family. Now, even though you can't consciously see the upside vision, you're still receiving it because I describe it. But I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm projecting, and you can absorb it and help you manifest it.
Yeah. That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And now, Matt, Tommy, you had mentioned that you have these 8 steps that you had to go through. Can you describe those a little bit for us?
Well, one of them was that realizing the world isn't as we think it is, right? All the stuff that we're being told, it's not.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're being lied to by everybody. I mean, I don't know. I feel like everybody knows this, but not. We know we're being lied to by the media. It's just nonsense. So the first day is realizing that there's a lot of BS coming at us.
Yes.
The second one was getting away from it. Now, I would not recommend the way I got away from it. I literally collapsed. My brain broke. But there was an escape part. There's this part where you need to retreat, right? And that happened to me. Now, I think you can do that in healthy ways. You can do that from stepping away, right? And then the part is about coming back together and healing again, and then giving the forgiveness, forgiving yourself for all the stuff and looking at it through a new lens. Those are the first 4 things. And the forgiveness, believe it or not, and that's actually also a step in recovery, one of the 12 steps, which is really interesting. It's the only step that was related to an addiction type of thing. And it obviously doesn't have to be. Forgiveness is a wonderful thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
When that happens, the mind shifts in ways I can't even begin to tell you. Just whole idea of, you know what? Everyone has their stuff. Let it go. After that, that's when things opened up and I started receiving it in a healthy way, right? That's when I started seeing the holograms, 5, seeing them, 6, interacting with them, 7, know there's knowledge, right? And then 8, communicating back and forth. I mean, those are briefly them, but that's kind of the idea. And this is what's crazy too, this is what some people have trouble with. When you're in this space, other things can show up. Other intelligent things can show up, right? And you can see all kinds of different intelligent beings that you want to see in there. Now, the question is, well, are those real? Are they from somebody else's brain? Could somebody 5 houses down be thinking about this and I'm seeing that in hologram? Who knows? This is too soon to tell, but they do show up. And there's an exchange of, the coolest thing, or the thing that I can't reiterate enough to tell important, is the intelligence that this space carries that's outside of human intelligence. It's hard. I mean, it's so, unless you do it, it's hard to explain.
Yeah, no, there's so much in this universe that we can't see, that we can't feel, but it's here. It's in the quantum, and it's so cool that you have been able to bridge that gap. And I think that when I hear about everything that you do, I'm sure that there's going to be women who are listening to this, are like, I'm really intrigued by this. Like, I would really like to experience this. And I love how you not only are offering your services and your skills and your gifting to other people, but you also have, as we've also talked a little bit about this already, that we all have some innate abilities already. Sure. And that we can possibly start to develop and improve upon, tune into things that we already have within us. And I think that sometimes people, opportunities, things can serve as a bridge. Like I think about the GPT that I developed in the middle of the night, and it can access the Akashic records, right? Like, I don't believe that is the end all be all. I think it's a tool, it's a bridge to help us to remember that we can already access that ourselves. And
yeah.
And so when I say that, like, Tom, what things do you recommend to people to just start to have fun and explore, and perhaps be brave enough to start tuning into their own intuition and their own, perhaps ability to do something?
Okay, all right, that's good. But you jogged my memory. I want to say one thing before I answer that, because it's huge, and it's funny.
Yeah.
One of the things that always happens is symbolic elements show up. We didn't even talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's say a scorpion shows up every single reading, right? That you need to, listen, we need to look up what scorpion, why is that showing up? Now, if you're telling me you're a Scorpio, it would make sense, but there are animals that show up all the time in all these archetypes. There will be an archer. There are so many things that show up that can help guide the person. And believe it or not, there's even sometimes, and there's not a lot of copy or type, but sometimes there are Bible verses that show up, right? It'll say John, blah, blah, whatever. And it's like, it's specific to the person. Sometimes tarot cards show up. So there's so much symbolic things that show up. And that's really important for this too. It's funny that I didn't think about it till now, but so that's good. Now, the question is, and so if you can dream, which I think everybody can dream, then the potential is inside of you again. I tell people, if you want to see if you can do this, there's a space called the hypnagogic hallucination right before bed. There's this little window of time while you're still awake but right before sleep, where that you can kind of have access to this space, right? And I tell people to, this is the one tip I give. Try to do this, sit up on the end of the couch, right? Just meditate and dream it and think about whatever you want to see, a desert island with the palm tree on it. If that island comes into being, you are literally this close to being able to do it. Now, it depends this close, and even being able to do it, how far, I can't tell you. It's like carrying a note. Well, because you can carry a C note doesn't mean.
Right.
But with practice,
yes.
Right, then you can change the island into a beautiful new home, right? And you can manifest whatever you want. And then, then you literally can have a conversation, because then the island, without you wishing what's there, say, just let's look at the island, right? It will show up, and then all of a sudden, a shark will walk up on the islands. There's sometimes cartoony things, right? And you're thinking to yourself, or I do, like, what does that shark have to do with anything? And then it will hold up. It's literally like a dream. It'll hold up a sign. We could say anything. So when you're in this place to play, that is the playing is the one thing. The intelligence coming with it is the second thing. But the first thing anybody can try to do, right? Anybody can try to do. And you know what? I have a if you want to, if you get the PDF, I have a collection of people slowly moving this conversation forward.
Cool.
There's an academic paper coming out this year around the study of upside vision. To be clear, it's not about me reading people's biofields. It's just about the brain states when my brain state is seeing these things. So I want to make sure I want to be clear. It's around that, not about what I started doing. We haven't done the science around that yet. But obviously, they're related. Obviously.
Yeah, no, that is so cool. I there's so many things that are going on in my mind. And one of them is, I teach people discernment and to trust their intuition. And one of the ways that I do that is asking God yes, no questions and letting him answer me through my body. And when I first started doing that, I had to really quiet my mind. I had to put myself into a prayer meditative state in order to be able to do that. Now I do it all day long, every day, without even thinking about it, because I've just tuned in and I've practiced that muscle. I don't know how we want to think about it.
Yeah.
But it's just the matter of proving to yourself that you can do it to begin with. And then the practice. And I actually have a piece of equipment, an amazing tool that I use that I also, share with people, that allows us to tap into the brain state that we want to be in. So I can dial into theta, gamma, all of the things.
Cool.
And within 30 minutes, the 30-minute session I do from my couch, and people can have access to this technology in their own home. And I think that if I were to take my next hub session and really focus on this imagination and really allow for things to come alive in my head, and I do that over and over again, I can only imagine that I'm going to continue to tune in and strengthen these abilities. And so it's so fun.
And I think you could actually see it too. I think people like you who is already tuned into it.
Yeah.
Again, we're too soon to see if this happened. I've talked to some people who can see the holograms, but they can't change them with a thought. I think somebody like you or somebody who has these empath abilities and really tuned in, I believe once they really understand that this is possible, there will be people doing this all the time.
You guys,
really do that. It's like Roger Bannister, the first time Roger Bannister ran a 4-minute mile, they said it couldn't be done.
I know, I love that story. Yes.
And then all of a sudden 100 people did the next year, then 1,000.
Yeah.
It
took centuries for somebody to be able to run the 4-minute mile.
And then when he did, a bunch of people did it. This to me is like that. Yes, and I am the proof of it. And there's other people, again, other people have had this, but they just dismiss it because they were young and they've already been able to do it, or they tuned it off. I was a grown man coming out of a mental health crisis, and it was my mission to see what is going on. This is not the way I moved through the world before. And it's even helping me. I mean, it's one of the reasons I've stayed sober, right? It's a help. It's like, I don't need to turn off with that. I've got my family back. By the way, I've got everything back. Well, not my business, but this is a new business. But I've got my children love me. My wife loves me. I feel so much more connected with the universe, with God. And I have this gift that I want to share with the world and let people know that we are so much more than we know, right? Yeah. It doesn't go against any religion. This is for everybody, right? Yeah. This is for everybody. This is just us evolving and having like an additional sense to help us move through the world.
Yes, 100%. And you guys, this is just another example of the law of universal oneness. We're all connected. We all are connected to the same consciousness. And so if Tom has access to this, so do you. We have access to the brilliance that Thomas Edison and Albert Einstein had because we're all connected in the same beautiful consciousness. And so the God that lives in them lives in you. And I just want to encourage you guys to know that you're not on this planet alone, that you get guidance all the time. And are you willing to lean in and use that to help make the biggest difference in this world during this lifetime? And I just think it's so cool. Tom, I know that there's going to be people out here who are like, okay, where do I sign up? Like, I want to experience this for myself. So we're going to make sure that you guys have all of the information that you need in the show notes. But is there anything specific that you want to share with our listeners right now?
Well, I'm going to piggyback what you said. Yeah, we are all connected, right? And this universe does care. I know it doesn't feel like it because there's other things, but when I am tuned into the space, there's a real resonation of care and almost, and I will use this like a parent with a child, right? You want the best for that. That's literally what it feels like. I know because I'm a parent. Actually, it's even stronger than that. But that's the best analogy I can give. Right. This is, I want to say love, but it's more than that. This is positive energy that wants the best for you. How could it be otherwise? Yes. How could it be otherwise? The fact that if you're going in a hard place or struggling, even to be able to know that this is, and you connect with it for a second is, it's great. And it's wonderful. And it feels great. And it lets you trust your intuition. If you've been mentally abused, you're like, you can connect with this intuition and start trusting it and maybe open a door to a new path to heal or whatever. Helping people get unstuck is probably the biggest ask on this, right? And I help them pull them out of the tar, help them clean off, and I send them on a direction, right? That's a good analogy.
Yes, I love that. So is there anything, you have your downloadable PDF on your website. I'm assuming that people have easy access to book a session with you.
On the website, yeah, the website's the free PDF. If you want to schedule a session, it's got a link to my book. If you want to, or it's got other podcasts I've interviewed. I've talked about this at length. Yeah. This is good. But if you want to see, if you want to sign up, I love doing these readings and I love connecting with people, yes. I really do. And it feels really, really good to finally be able to give back with this ability. I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it, right? Yes. And once I made the conscious decision that I'm going to do this with other people, I literally got 100 signups in 6 weeks. And that was the universe. I couldn't believe it, actually. Yeah. I could not believe it. So
100%. And you are living proof. Another example of how our purpose can be birthed out of our trauma. So if you guys have had really crappy things happen to you and you're like, nobody understands, I'm just going to tell you that you can have the most amazing purpose and calling being birthed out of that trauma, because if you hadn't gone through that, this would be revealed to you. So I just want to let the Ham story encourage you that you're never, ever a lost cause, that there is always something trying to be expressed through you. And I can't wait to see how this helps people.
Yeah, I love it. And you know what? That's so funny. I used to say that all the time on the end of the podcast. No matter how far you're down, you can come back like me.
Yes.
Thank you I feel like you connected to me and pulled that out of me. I literally feel like you just saw the notes in my head.
Oh, we're here to spiral up, aren't we?
We are. And it's true. And it's true. And it's 100% true.
So, my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Tom, for being here. You guys make sure that you check out the show notes for all the information. And I would love for you to share with us. We want to hear from you. So when I post this in the stories, I want you to interact with us. I want you to tell us what you learned. I want you to reach out to us and say what this episode did for you and how it, changed your lives. I would love for you to leave a review and just let us know how this helped you, because that is why we do this, isn't it? Like, not to be just put ourselves out there. We want to interact with you guys. This is where the fun is. So we can't wait to see how this is going to change everybody. And Tom, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. It was great.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.